following is a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.
Drivers, start your engines. Pull those belts down tight one more time, warm up those tires, hit your marks, and let's go racing, boys and girls. Nascar, Indycar, Formula One, Formula E, and NHRA Racing Talk. This is the Championship Racing Network. Now here is your hosts, Steve West and Matt Nicholson, with producer John Myers.
Indeed, the gang is all here this weekend. Matt and myself in studio. Producer John Manning, very capably. CRN Live on YouTube. If you haven't been over there, check it out. It's pretty good stuff. We give you some visuals to go along with some of the audio. But, of course, if you're listening on our flagship radio station, we appreciate you too. We're a little bit early here because our flagship station is going to Cup qualifying at COTA at 9 a.m. Central Time. So we're going to set up the weekend schedule for you. We'll get into the news of the week. Things like lawsuits continuing in NASCAR. One continues, one actually wrapped up. We'll tell about both of those. IROC is actually testing. We'll tell you why. Formula One updates the new race coming up later on this year in Spain. IndyCar's tires get an update. And the fight over the historic Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway gets an update as it continues. All that and more on CRN next.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. Four tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
little bit early this morning again, going to be joining on our flagship station, Cup qualifying at the Circuit of the Americas. So, is what it is. Scheduling does that to us sometimes.
Yep.
Good morning to you, Matt. How are you feeling?
Hanging in there.
Well, helps if I would actually, stop that. There we go.
Hanging
Out of
in
practice. Early in the morning. Yeah, I got you. I understand. Medically, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but you had some tests this week. So far, preliminarily, things looking okay?
So far.
Okay.
Just waiting on some more, but so far.
We'll keep praying for it. All right. Let's get into it since it's busy and we have a limited time frame here. Doubleheader day last Saturday in Atlanta, and please note sarcasm here. While weather delayed the Craftsman Truck Series race, it was made up for by the fact that it was shortened to allow the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race to get started on time. Mm-hmm. Correct me if I'm wrong. They have lights in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, they do, but with the garbage exclusivity agreements, and CW had to start their pre-race at X time.
That's what you get. Yeah, not the most popular move, but it worked out to make for an exciting race because it's Atlanta, and the way that they've redone it, you and I were talking about it, this may be, at one point in time, we were calling it just a couple of years ago, Kansas. But it looks like Atlanta, at least in our minds, has supplanted Kansas as the most exciting track on the circuit.
Yeah, I would agree with that, yes.
And it really doesn't matter what series is running there.
No.
As laps wound down, Stuart Friesen, congratulations to him, back from his injuries that he sustained last season, battling for the lead and the win when the master of Atlanta in the Truck Series found an opening, took it, claimed the win. That win for Kyle Busch marks his 9th win in the Truck Series in Atlanta. Really doesn't matter what the configuration is. It's his 3rd straight year of claiming a win in the Truck Series in Atlanta. Not hurt at all by the fact that he got a nice, timely push by a kid who he's been pretty roughed up in the press here, not because of what he did in the Truck Series. Talking about Carson Hocevar.
Yeah. Hocevar was... He was more of had a team player role instead of trying to be the aggressor.
Yeah, and he did a nice job of it. It shows that he is starting to see that maturity, and he's starting to wear off or shall I say, hone those rougher edges that we've seen. Has he cleared them all? No. That's obvious because of what we're going to talk about from Sunday's Cup Series race, but still, he's getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Watch out, people.
He is.
Busch wins, Hocevar 2nd, Gio Ruggiero 3rd, Ben Rhodes 4th, Corey Heim 5th, Chandler Smith, Jake Garcia, John Hunter Nemechek, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., and Justin Haley fill out the top 10. Stuart Friesen faded all the way back to 20th. Ouch. Standings for the series after Atlanta show that Chandler Smith is on top, 103 points, 75 for Gio Ruggiero. You got Ben Rhodes with 68, 60 for Ty Majeski, Stuart Friesen 59. Rest of your top 10, Brendan Butterbean Queen 53, tied with Caden Honeycutt and Andres Perez de Lara. Tyler Income's got 51 and 47 for Christian Eckes. Don't forget, Chase is made up of 10 drivers in the Truck Series. Then the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series took center stage, and there was a question going in whether Austin Hill was going to continue to make Atlanta kind of like Daytona, his own personal playground. And he did. As the laps wound down, looking like he would, fate kind of intervened in the form of Cup Moonlighter Ross Chastain. As both were battling for the lead, they got together, kind of wiped each other out. So that actually opened up a door for nobody else but Sheldon Creed. Creed runs through it, claims his first ever win in the series. Don't forget, this is the guy who has a record, NASCAR all-time record of second-place finishes without a win at 15.
Yep.
And he finally claims the win. It was something that I did predict in our bold predictions, quote-unquote, from Cross Flags, 3 weeks ago now?
I think so, yeah.
But I have to admit, I didn't think it was going to come this early in the season. I thought it was going to be later in the year. So congratulations to Creed.
Good for him. He minded his P's and Q's, and he was in the right place at the right time finally.
Yep. Creed said after the fact, quote, incredible. It worked out. Finally, a winner. Obviously had a lot of good runs, but just never finished it up. Never won. He said after hoisting his trophy in victory lane, his voice a little bit softer after screaming with emotion on the cool-down lap and celebrating with his team. But to finally do that after it looked like a second place for a long while coming off of turn 2, it just worked out for us tonight. He concluded with a little bit of a rough voice. Creed was trailed by Parker Retzlaff, Nick Sanchez, Corey Day, Jesse Love. Chastain recovered to claim 6th. Sam Mayer 7th. Rajah Caruth, Taylor Gray, and Brandon Jones in the top 10. Austin Hill finally got across the finish line in 12th, but he still leads the series standings with 104 points. Rajah Caruth is second with 82. Sheldon Creed jumps up to third with 80 now, tied with Jesse Love. Parker Retzlaff has 74. Rest of the dozen that would make the chase in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series: Justin Allgaier 69, Carson Kvapil 64, 50 for Corey Day, Sammy Smith 48, 46 Ryan Ellis, Taylor Gray 44, and 43 for Brendan Poole. And you're sitting there going, wow, there's a lot of names that I wasn't expecting. It's 2 races in. Long way to go.
Separation comes today.
Oh, yeah. That led us to Sunday and a pretty cool day in Hotlanta. Not hot yet, obviously. A race that saw a crazy number of lead changes and crashes. Shocking. Came down to a battle of Toyota and Chevrolet drivers. In the second overtime, Bubba Wallace was actually the point man with teammate Tyler Reddick and Joe Gibbs Racing driver Chase Briscoe behind him on the inside. On the outside, Carson Hocevar with fellow Chevrolet driver Ross Chastain. Wallace, I don't know whether it was a spotter or he got a little bit too much into his own head or a combination of the two, but either way, when the green flag dropped, he got a good push from Reddick. Felt apparently that he needed to block any advance from the Chevrolets on the outside lane, and when he tried to make the block, he overshot it a lane, went up into what was really a non-existent third lane, ended his chances to get the win. Reddick, on the other hand, and we showed this car on crossed flags earlier this week, missing what would be the passenger side on your personal car front fender, still puts that car into victory lane. Chase Briscoe was a good pusher, got him a lead, but older tires and just a combination, maybe just not having the kind of car that was going to get there. He ends up finishing second. So Reddick gets the win, makes him now one of only 6 drivers in Cup Series history to claim the first 2 races of the season and the first driver to do it since Matt Kenseth did it back in 2009.
Yep. And he's got a legitimate shot to go 3 for 3.
Yeah, because if you think about where he claimed his first ever win in the Cup Series, Coda. Now, here's the thing. We know there are a couple of pretty good road course aces that are going to be running. We'll talk about it in a minute. Reddick wins, Chase Briscoe second, Ross Chastain ends up third, Carson Hocevar, Daniel Suarez. Speaking of road course ace, Shane Van Gisbergen. Nice run at Atlanta.
Yep.
We've told you, watch out. If he gets to the point where he understands and gets to the point where he handles these oval tracks, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
If he had have gotten the push from Suarez a little better at a better time, he'd have been top 5 easy, if not top 3.
Still, 6th place, nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, 6 is very good for him.
Zane Smith, 7th. Bubba Wallace faded to 8th. And Ryan Preece and Ryan Blaney complete the top 10. Reddick's 2 wins have him far out in front in points, 125. Bubba Wallace second with 85. Chase Elliott with 81 is third. 74 for Carson Hocevar. Zane Smith 5th with 71. And the rest of your 16 that'll make the chase later on right now consists of Joey Logano with 68, Daniel Suarez 67, tied with Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski and Chris Buescher each with 61, Ross Chastain 51, 50 for both Noah Gragson and William Byron. Ryan Preece has 49. Chase Briscoe, after really not having a good Daytona, suddenly has a pretty good day at Atlanta and shoots up into the top 16, 15th with 45. And there's SVG again. 16th in points with 45, and going to a place where he is undoubtedly going to be someone to reckon with. Mm-hmm. So that brings us to this weekend's slate of races here. Craftsman Truck Series is going to get things started with the actual racing. They are back in Florida after a weekend out of there, from Daytona to Atlanta, back to Florida to run the Only Bulls Green Flag 250 at St. Petersburg. This is the 1.8-mile-long, 14-turn street course on the Gulf Coast city. It'll air on Fox and the NASCAR Racing Network starting at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time. Again, I will say this. We can complain a lot about what Fox does in the long grand scheme of things, but in this case, putting this race on the Fox network, great move.
Very, very, very good move. But I'm kind of worried about this one right here because it's going to, I figure, be not very good.
Yeah. No, very little practice. And for all intents and purposes, qualifying was killed because of weather last night.
Yep.
You have kind of the starting lineup here. Let's kind of run down the top 10. And then there's a couple of other notables that we want to talk about because we've talked about some of the guest drivers that are showing up here. Surprising number of them, but because it was rained out, you end up doing what we used to call truck owner points, but now that's kind of all part of this new weird dynamic that NASCAR uses.
Right. Yes, they use the metric system to set the starting lineup from the Atlanta results. And looking at the practice times, the truck that completed the most laps of practice was Andres Perez de Lara, Stuart Friesen, and Dario Franchitti. They only completed 8 laps. 8 laps.
Ouch. That's going to hurt.
That's very much going to hurt.
Yeah.
But the starting lineup set by a metric based off of the Atlanta results. You got Connor Mozak as the pole sitter with Gio Ruggiero on his outside. James Hinchcliffe will start third. Looking down through the list at the ringers, let's call it that. You got Dario Franchitti will start 6th. Road course racer Wesley Slimp in the second Halmar Friesen truck, he will start 7th. Adam Andretti will start 10th. The Ram quartet of Justin Haley, Daniel Dye, Brendan Queen, and Colin Brown will have 11th, 12th, 15th, and 16th locked down.
Wow.
Mini Tyrell will start 21st in his first ever road course, so that's probably going to be epic to watch.
Yeah. That's one way to put it.
The fastest truck in practice, Caden Honeycutt, he was fast by a pretty decent margin. He will start mid-pack in 19th. Jackson Lee, road course racer, the son of Kevin Lee, NBC Sports announcer, he'll start 24th. MX5 racer Nathan Nicholson driving for Spencer Boyd, he starts 27th. Your second fastest truck in practice, Ben Mayer, it's a Chevrolet driver. They run road courses, but it was a Cars Tour champion, a Pro Late Model champion last year. Will start 35th.
Whew.
So it's just going to be...
It'll be entertaining.
It's going to be an interesting race.
Next up, after the Truck Series race a little bit further west, the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series will get into the Focused Health 250 at Circuit of the Americas near Austin, Texas. 17-turn, 2.4-mile long version of the road course. In other words, not the F1 long version of it. CW and PRN Radio get things going 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time with race coverage. Sunday, doubleheader. Kicks off the leadoff race of the season for the NTT IndyCar Series, the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, same course as the Craftsman Truck Series we were just talking about. Fox and IRN Radio starts noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central Time. And holding the anchor leg of the 4 races this weekend will be the Duramax Grand Prix powered by Relodyne. There you go. Cup Series at COTA, same course as O'Reilly Auto Parts. Fox PRN Radio, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time, or right after IndyCar coverage ends, whichever comes first. The only other series that's in season right now that we cover on a regular basis is Formula E. They're off again this weekend.
A note I found about the O'Reilly Auto Parts race.
Yeah.
For the first time since 1999 at Talladega, there will only be one Ford Mustang in the race.
Ouch.
The second Ford Mustang, in which I questioned the choice of driver that was put in there, the Hettinger car got knocked out, along with Josh Williams.
Not good.
Yeah.
And you also noticed something real quick before we go to break. One of the IndyCar drivers got to talking about the combination, I guess you could say, of having IndyCar and NASCAR on the same weekend. And
yeah, Pato O'Ward needs to just hush, because he's tired of feeling like IndyCar is a support series.
You're not.
IndyCar is not a support series to trucks.
No. It never would be.
Never has been. When they ran joint races at Kansas, they were never a support series. If you're racing on Sunday, you're the big show.
Yeah.
Get over it.
And, okay, and I'm wearing a cover shirt. For those of you that are listening on radio, I'm layered up because I'm always cold. Welcome to medication and getting older. So I've got a long sleeve shirt on over a T-shirt. The T-shirt that I have is, and I can tell you right now, it's the 2021 inaugural doubleheader that NASCAR and IndyCar did at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But the thing that you got to remember about that is that was slated to be the NASCAR weekend. Again, this is 2021. We're still kind of coming off of COVID. We're still kind of recovering. So they decided, hey, let's do a little experiment. We'll come back to Indianapolis for a second time with IndyCar. We'll pair with you. IndyCar was first on the road course of the three events, the two events that were Saturday.
Right.
IndyCar was first, then it was what we now call the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, and then Sunday was the Cup Series. Again, that was NASCAR designated weekend.
Right.
This is IndyCar designated weekend. You are the headliner. Mm-hmm. Everything else is a support race. Yes, we talk about the Craftsman Truck Series because it is a major series, but it doesn't matter if it's NASCAR's Cup Series or the IndyCar Series. Craftsman Truck Series is a support race. Mm-hmm. In this case, it is a lesser series. When they go to Phoenix, just because it is NASCAR weekend, you guys are kind of butting in on it, still doesn't mean that you're being considered less than. It's just that's NASCAR designated weekend.
Right.
You guys are coming in and you're taking part of that.
Right.
Get over yourself, Pato. Nobody thinks less of IndyCar because of it. And in fact, this could technically benefit both series.
Mm-hmm.
This could benefit both NASCAR and IndyCar because people who are dedicated IndyCar fans suddenly get a chance to look at NASCAR.
Mm-hmm.
And vice versa. People who are dedicated NASCAR fans get a chance to check out IndyCar, and you never know. They might like it. You might not. I'm not saying you have to, but you never know. You might.
Right.
And one more time, just before we go to break, because I mentioned it during Cross Flags podcast, but I'm going to say it again. If you note what we said, back-to-back coverage on Fox, going from St. Petersburg on Sunday to the Cup Series in Texas on Sunday, both of them on Fox, proves it can be done. Don't sit there and tell me, Fox, that you need to put 8 of your 14 races over on Fox Sports 1 because now your IndyCar's in season.
Yep.
Horse pucky.
Yep.
You could make it work out, and now that we've got a guy in Roger Penske who is actually willing to work with NASCAR because he has his feet in NASCAR along with IndyCar, I'm sure you could work out the scheduling to the point where it would be mutually beneficial and both series, IndyCar and Cup Series, could both get on Fox on a Sunday. Mm-hmm. Don't tell me it can't work. I don't believe it. We shall return.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. 2 tires only, and back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
Welcome in. We appreciate you joining us here. We know a little earlier than usual, but we do appreciate you joining us either way. Again, Cup qualifying at COTA will be coming up right after on our flagship radio station. News of the week here. First bit of good news here, and this covers all 3 top series of NASCAR. Really top. It covers 4 series within NASCAR. I'll detail that in a second. What am I talking about? I talk about the new grandfather clock maker for Martinsville Speedway. It's Ermly North America, and they've decided to take the grandfather clock that is handed out to the winner of every single race winner at Martinsville in NASCAR Top Series, and they've named the model after the founder of the Virginia Short Track. It is actually going to be named the H. Clay Earls grandfather clock after the founder of Martinsville Speedway. And this is kind of a double thing here, because Martinsville's obviously in Virginia. Ermly North America and the particular operation that makes these grandfather clocks is located in Amherst, Virginia, so not that far away. Earls not only founded the short track, began the tradition of giving the grandfather clock to the race winner. The first one went to Fred Lorenzen back in 1964. Ermly North America is going to make theirs out of cherry wood, and it'll come from a factory, again, Amherst, Virginia. For those of you that don't know, it's located about 100 miles away from the track. NASCAR drivers can claim the coveted trophy, include winners from the Cup, O'Reilly Auto Parts, Craftsman Truck Series, and Whelen Modified Tour. That's why I said 4 of NASCAR's divisions. All 4 series will be racing there for their first of the 2 Martinsville weekends in 2026. I don't think Whelen Modified Tour joins them during the fall race week. Their season done by that point?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. I kind of thought so, but I wasn't 100% certain.
I think so.
But yeah, good for them. I think it's a great move on their part. Another tie to bringing the founding of that speedway in there and keeping that tradition alive. I think it's great.
I agree. I do agree.
And then we get to this, and we're going to do our level best to try and unwrap this and see if we can't keep from confusing you too much.
I will put this disclaimer out there.
Okay.
I woke up with a pretty rough migraine headache this morning. I've been as some of the things I've been dealing with some migraine headaches. I think this may make it worse.
It very well might. NASCAR revealed the format they're going to use for this year's All-Star race. And remember, this is happening for the first time ever at Dover. Dover's 1 race this year. If people don't turn out for this, Dover may just find themselves off of the schedule beginning next year. Considering what we have already heard and the fact that NASCAR, Ben Kennedy, is looking at other venues, I think Dover is most definitely on the chopping block.
After this, the release in this and how this format is, picture this right here. The old saying of the nail in the coffin. This is not a wooden coffin. This is a steel coffin. Dover's in the coffin. The lid is on top. The welder has been ignited. And the first tack has been put on the corner to get it to where it will hold.
Yeah.
They're getting ready to weld the coffin shut, I'm afraid.
If there's good news here for Dover, it's the fact that they were given something that very few other tracks have been given. You think about the All-Star race. We know it at Charlotte. It had happened at Atlanta 1 year. It happened at Bristol during the COVID year. They took it to Texas. You were there for that during a very, very hot time. A couple of years at North Wilkesboro and now at Dover. We'll see whether the Monster Mile handles it or not. So for this year, here's your format. 350-lap affair in total. 2 75-lap races will lead into the main feature. The All-Star race itself will be a 200-lap event. The 200-lap race will have 26 racers. 26 total field made up of the winners from last year's All-Star race to this year's event, plus the winners of past All-Star races and or former Cup Series champions running for points this year in the Cup Series who did not qualify in any other way. In other words, Jimmy Johnson technically is a Cup Series racer, but he doesn't qualify because he's not running full-time for points in the Cup Series this year, okay?
All right, so technically...
Oh, by the way, there is the fan vote. Let me go ahead and throw that out there before you say this.
They're making everybody start the 2 75-lap races.
Yeah, I know.
These are by default. Those are technically 275 lap heats.
Think about it this way. If you go by just what I said, that doesn't make up 26. And you're right. How do we fill it out?
So 10 cars got to be eliminated.
All 36 chartered cars will head up to Dover. They will qualify for the first 75-lap feature. When that's done, the top 26 finishers after the first 75-lap feature will be inverted. Kind of goes back to an old Saturday night local track tradition, except they're doing the top 26 as opposed to like the top. They used to roll dice for this, didn't they? Or pull a card.
Dice or pull a card or spin a wheel.
I mean, it used to be the most, I think it was 10. I was trying to remember what the inversion was at BIR, and I think the biggest number I remember on an inversion was 10.
The most I've ever seen on an inversion is 12.
Okay. Well, that's more than doubles that. Hello. So you invert it. You go to a second 75-lap event, assuming you still have all 36 cars intact. Once your automatic locks are all put in place, the rest of the field will be filled out by the average finish of the two 75-lap features and then the fan vote entrant. Confused yet? Yeah, so are we. Hey, welcome to the new NASCAR. Either things are overly simplified or they are so overly thought out here as to be just downright confusing within the world of NASCAR.
They took this and they, from the lap count, they're trying to keep it as close to an actual race length that Dover still has. It's only 50 laps shorter.
Yeah, because it's a mile-long track. We've been running 400-mile races at Dover for, I can't remember how long.
I can remember when Dover was 500.
Yeah, but I can't remember when they switched to 400 is what I'm
It was
saying.
in 1995.
Okay, so that's 30 years. That's a while.
Yeah.
So we're used to seeing 400-mile events. And you're right. I think you're right. Plus, they are making them travel from North Carolina up to Dover, which is not the longest trip in the world, but still, it's not, it's not North Wilkesboro.
No.
So I kind of understand why they want to try and make it worth it for all 36 chartered cars to be there. But at the same point in time, did we have to make this confusing?
No, really didn't. But qualifying for the first 75 lap. The one thing I'm missing here is there's not, even when you read the breakdown of it on the graphic that they released, there's no clear-cut definition of how everything is eliminated, how people are eliminated.
Based upon the average finish from the two 75-lappers, once you get everybody who's locked in other words, your winners, your past all-star race winners, your past champions that all make up, they're automatically locked in. Once you've done that, eliminate the fan vote. Let's just say you got to fill it out to 25 because you're 26 is the fan vote. Then they're going to take the average finish of the two 75-lappers and say, okay, who finished the best? We'll fill it out from that.
All right, so why the ones that are locked in, why would they even run the 75 lappers?
Don't really have to.
You don't have to.
Yeah.
So if I'm, and I will put myself.
Unless you're just looking to practice.
I will put myself in the 11 car.
Okay.
I'll put myself in the 11 car. 11 cars locked in.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm filling in for Denny Hamlin. Hypothetical scenario here. Completely hypothetical, which is a nice hypothetical scenario.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm filling in for Denny Hamlin. All right. If I'm locked in, I'm telling. I was about to say Gabe Hart.
Yeah, no, we'll get back to that.
I'm telling the team, look, we get practice. Okay, I'm gonna shake the car down, but do not put this car on the grid until the 200 lapper starts because we're not gonna tear the car up. What if you get out there in the 75 lapper and you tear the car up? They gonna give you the free car to unload? No,
I doubt it.
You ain't got time to unload it and get it ready.
Yep. And here's the thing. Again, we've talked about these races. There's kind of a fun part in the fact that there's no safety net with a cash grab, whether you're talking about the Busch Clash at Bowman Gray or you're talking about the All-Star race. And we have seen certainly cars beaten, banged up, and coming back basically with nothing left but the steering wheel. But if you're locked into the 200 lapper, do you really want to put yourself in danger during either one of the 75 lappers?
No, it should.
What's the incentive?
It should be 250, a 50 lap open style, with all the open cars out there in one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just like they did at Wilkesboro.
Mm-hmm.
Put the open cars in one. You advance your top two. Fan vote. Everybody lines up, run the 200 lapper. Be done with it.
Yeah.
Why are we running 275 lappers?
Not really sure. A couple of good things about this. The winner still claims a $1 million grand prize. Last year, the thing that we kind of looked at askance, the promoter's caution, they killed it.
Thank the Lord.
There will be one competition caution. They say that should happen about 75 laps into the All-Star race itself if we don't otherwise get another caution in between there. And considering it's Dover,
because that was the most ridiculous thing I ever laid my eyes on in person was watching
we
somebody.
knew what was going to happen with the promoter's caution. It was going to happen so late.
Stand in the stands, Michael Waltrip standing there in the holding the flag and just holding it up, watching, and I'm going, what is he doing?
Yeah, wait for them to actually say something on the radio, would you?
You know, I mean.
But at the same time, you and I both knew this was going to happen. It was going to happen late in the race to create extra drama.
Yeah, like a 25-lap shootout.
Whatever.
That's just.
Real quick, and then we'll go back to the whole Chris Gabehart thing after the break. We're going to get into the first of 4 road course races this weekend as we dealt with in the schedule. Quick reminder of the all-time winners on road courses. And remember, things have changed over time, obviously. We'll go back to the all-time leaders. Jeff Gordon has 9 road course wins. Tony Stewart has 8. Keep in mind, those two posted that back when we were still running only 2 road courses on any given season. Now we're talking multiple road course races. We've seen as many as, 6, 7 on the Cup Series schedule in a year?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this year we got 4. Last year we had 6? 5.
6.
It's all running together.
I think 6.
I think it was 6, yeah. So after Jeff Gordon with 9, Tony Stewart with 8, Chase Elliott has 7 wins across 5 different tracks for third place. Then there's Shane Van Gisbergen, who leads a troop of guys who have 6 wins on road course races. Shane has 6 wins across 5 different tracks. 5 of them came last year. Kyle Larson's got 6, so any of those 3, Elliott, Van Gisbergen, or Larson, could either tie Smoke or Gordon or take the lead this year. Shane Van Gisbergen. The late NASCAR Hall of Famer Bobby Allison has 6 wins. Ricky Rudd does as well. So does Rusty Wallace. The late Tim Richmond has 5 wins at road courses, tied with Darrell Waltrip and Martin Truex Jr. Got a tie at 4 wins each between Kyle Busch and Mark Martin. With 3 wins, Jeff Bodine, Ernie Irvin, David Pearson, Richard Petty, Cale Yarborough, and the active drivers Tyler Reddick and Christopher Bell. There was a time when we thought Chase Elliott was just going to breeze on by Tony Stewart and Jeff Gordon. Now we got Shane Van Gisbergen. And it would not surprise me at all this year if SVG just blows by both of them and is in double digits by the end of this year.
Yeah, last year it was COTA, Mexico, Chicago, Watkins Glen, Sonoma, the Roval. Which one did I miss? I missed one somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
COTA, Mexico.
Yeah.
Sonoma.
Yeah.
Chicago.
4.
Watkins Glen.
5.
Roval.
6. There you go. And SVG won 5 of them.
5 of the 6, yep.
The only one that he didn't win this race at COTA last year, it was Christopher Bell.
Mm-hmm. I think that changes.
And you look, I mean, remember what we were talking about when it came to some of the gaps. We were talking Shane Van Gisbergen at a place like Mexico City winning by a Formula One gap of 15 plus seconds.
Yep.
Believe me, he wants COTA. I can guarantee that, because at that point in time, he holds all of the trophies at one time for the last driver to win at road courses.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. fuel only, fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
All right, so last week we talked here on the air about that lawsuit between Joe Gibbs Racing and now former crew chief / competition director Chris Gabehart. They've alleged, and we talked about this last week, but in case you missed it or missed part of it or just need a refresher, they basically allege that he stole some insider information from Joe Gibbs Racing and he was trying to take it over to Spire Motorsports. Spire did announce, I think they actually announced it last Sunday at Atlanta, that Gabehart is indeed an employee now. And it led to an amendment to the suit from Joe Gibbs Racing. In the amendment, JGR added Spire as a defendant, has also asked the court for a temporary restraining order, would keep Gabehart from taking part in the day-to-day activities at Spire, at least for the duration of the lawsuit. Spire, Gabehart has been named, according to Spire, as their chief motorsports officer. Is that the same as competition director?
Close.
Okay. Gabehart and his legal team filed their official response to the Joe Gibbs Racing lawsuit that we talked about. Gabehart has been public about his feelings. In the official paperwork, he terms the suit as punishment for, quote, a former employee for daring to leave, unquote. In addition, Gabehart claims that Gibbs breached his terms of his contract by withholding pay and voiding all rights to enforcing any form of a non-compete clause in the process. Gabehart does admit in the response that he was growing more and more dissatisfied with his role as competition director and how the individual race teams were run. Stated that when he gave his notice of resignation, it was one of the main points for his leaving, that the teams were run inconsistently, saying in his filing, quote, I found myself constantly intertwined with Coach Gibbs, senior JGR executives, and family members. Read into that as you will. Ty. When making even routine competition decisions, a dysfunctional organizational structure that I could not continue in. I further expressed serious concerns about the management of JGR's number 54 car, Ty Gibbs's car, which is one of JGR's 4 Cup Series entries. It is my view that the number 54 car should be managed and held accountable in the same manner as the organization's other cars. Instead, the number 54 car was managed directly by Coach Gibbs, and everyone in the organization knew it. This is going to devolve into he said, she said.
Pretty much, but I'm just probably going to ask the dumbest question of February so far here.
Okay. And appropriate. It's the last day of the month.
Could that be an explanation as to why the 54 car has not won yet?
Could be. It's a possibility.
They poked the bear, so Gabehart's going to expose everything.
Oh, yeah. Here it comes. It's the same warning that the judge gave to 2311, Front Row Motorsports, and NASCAR, saying if this goes to trial, everything's going to get shown. Mm-hmm. Here it comes.
It is.
Richard Childress Racing has yet to pull the trigger on buying a third charter, but they do continue to field a third car in many Cup Series races over the last couple of years. It continues this year. 31-year-old O'Reilly Auto Parts Series veteran Austin Hill is actually going to get 5 Cup Series starts in the 33 car this year. We're about to show it to you here. His long run in what's now the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series has seen him claim 15 wins over 150 series starts. In that time, he's got 15 Cup starts to his credit, best finish of 9th, which came just last season at Chicago Street Course. This year, he's got 5 races, all sponsored by United Rentals, in the car that you can see mocked up there if you're on CRN Live on YouTube. Starts at Phoenix Raceway. The rest of the slate will be announced at a date to be determined. For the record, the 33 car has made its way out to Texas to run a COTA. Hill's not in the car. It's actually his O'Reilly Auto Parts Series teammate, Jesse Love, that's going to get the start this weekend in the 33. No word at this point in time on how many races Love's going to get in the car. This, I think, is twofold. I think, at one point in time, they're either going to get rid of one of the 2 Cup Series drivers they have, or they're going to get a third car. And I don't know where they're going to get the charter from, but that's not the point right now. Let's just assume that they go and they find a charter and they buy it for the 33 car. These are the tryouts. Who's the more likely driver to get promoted from the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series to the Cup Series?
That's a tough one. That's honestly a tough one because
neither one of them really stood out to me last year. I mean, they were both good, but neither one of them just reached out there and grabbed me and said, I'm the guy who should be there.
Right.
I know.
It's tough.
Yeah, I know.
It's tough to say, and I'm just while we're picking some questionable decisions of NASCAR apart. I'm going to pick them apart a little more.
Okay.
I'm looking at the rosters for COTA, and apparently they're only allowing 2 spotters per roster per car. They typically allow 4.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. COTA's not.
You can slip in other spotters. I saw it happen at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah. Well,
But-
and the other side of it is, I mean, I get it. You got that elevation change to where you could put a spotter fairly high up.
That spotter,
But-
the COTA, I know the layout of the spotters at COTA.
Yeah, I question this too.
When I was scheduled to go in 2023. No, 2024. Excuse me. I was scheduled to go in 2024. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
The layout of the spotters at COTA was going to be, you had one at the top of turn 1 that had the view down the front straightaway, through turn 1 down through the S's into turn 4.
Yeah, that real sharp hairpin turn right at the top of the hill coming off of that
Yes.
long front straight. Yeah.
There was going to be a small blind spot. These were the official spotter locations. There was going to be a small blind spot, but when you went down into the other hairpin on the north end of the track, on the F1 course, there was going to be a spotter in that location down there to cover that area and down the main long straightaway. But then your next round of spotters were going to be positioned on the tower amongst the fans. But now they cut the course in half. Are they taking that one spotter out on the far end? They're just using the one spotter going to that other one, and then you're on top of the tower. Good luck. Hope you survive.
You're on the tower on one hand, and I guess all the way out on the other end of the track.
Well, now that they cut the other
Point farthest away, I guess, from the tower.
they cut half the track out, basically. So now you're in. You got the tower, which the tower part can cover that midsection because it's in clear sight. There should be more than 2 spotters.
I agree.
Sorry, but there should be more than 2.
And part of that is because of the fact that they're still dealing with that. The one aspect where NASCAR is kind of going along with Formula One is that shortcutting the course. In other words, you got to stay within the white lines, and that's going through the S's there up to about turn 6.
Connors Village has got 3 on his roster, so I guess they are allowing 3.
Okay, they need to. I agree. It's a road course. It needs to be. Adam Stern of Sports Business Daily reported on the Sunday Cup Series race at Echo Park Speedway. TV viewership down just a hair from the 2025 version of the same race, about 2%. Holding an average of 4.48 million viewers. Last year's number's 4.856, or 586, I should say. But at least a portion of the race was affected by the closing ceremonies of the Winter Olympics. They say that undoubtedly caused a bit of the drop-off. Still a pretty good number when you consider the fact that the average Cup Series race, 3 to 3.5 million, sometimes not even that high. I think that number's kind of dropping down a little bit just because of the way the viewership is changing over the course of time. So Atlanta pulls in a good number, and deservedly so. All right, we talked about one lawsuit, another lawsuit here. Kyle and his wife Samantha Bush have reached a settlement with Pacific Life Insurance Company. They will avoid going to trial over allegations of fraud about a retirement plan scheme. Since we gave the details in past shows, not going to go back over that. The Bushes were seeking $8 million. The company said the claims were time barred and that the Bush family, despite saying that they actually did not read the fine print. They signed a paper, said that they did. Thursday of this week, the two sides notified the court in North Carolina that they've come to a resolution and are withdrawing the lawsuit. Exact details about the resolution not divulged in the court filing. The filing concluded with this quote: the parties are in the process of documenting and finalizing their settlement papers, intend to file a stipulation or motion for dismissal of this action within the next 30 days, with all parties bearing their own fees and costs. So whatever the settlement is, your court costs and your lawyer costs are yours and yours alone. Parties respectfully request that the court stay all pending deadlines while the parties finalize their settlement and file such joint stipulation or motion for dismissal with the court, which I'm sure the court either already has or will soon grant. 2014 Cup Series champion turned Fox Sports NASCAR analyst Kevin Harvick's son, Keelan, working up quite the racing career of his own. When he was a bit younger than his current 13 years. I know he was such a kid back then, right? Remember? He mentioned he wanted to continue his career in Europe with an eye towards Formula One. Well, seems that's changed. Somewhat enticed by Toyota, or Toyota Gazoo Racing specifically, they signed a development deal that would have him back on the stock car path. Keelan, after signing, talked to media, said, quote, "My main goal is to be just like my dad, try to make it to the Cup Series." So, a couple of things here. What prompted the switch? It's not money, at least not on the surface. Keelan specifically talked about an incident that happened in Italy. Quote, "I was in Italy racing. Charles Leclerc's nephew raced on my team. Leclerc came to watch the race. All the fans followed him there, and they broke down the tent. There's just a lot of people. Just not for me. There was hundreds of people at a go-kart race just trying to meet him." So what's the plan for Keelan in the short term? Again, remember, he's 13. This year he's going to partner with his father's Kevin Harvick Incorporated, which really is no longer a race organization. It's more of a
management corporation. They have clients, drivers who they represent.
Right. What a shock. Kevin Harvick Incorporated would represent Keelan. And they're going to work with Rackley War Racing. They're going to compete in a good number of late model races across the nation, driving a number 62 Toyota Camry. ExxonMobil is going to be a primary sponsor for many of the races. You may or may not have seen a picture of Keelan out there standing in front of said late model wearing a uniform. Look very closely. It is an AI uniform. How can you tell? Series that's listed up here on the shoulder is the Cup Series. No. So again, be very careful what you look at and go, oh, well, that must be it. No, that's, if you were looking at CRN Live on YouTube, that's why we didn't have that picture. It was AI fake. The other odd thing about it, his dad, Kevin, never drove a Toyota in his professional career.
Nope.
First ran for Chevrolet for both Richard Childress Racing and for Stewart Haas Racing before SHR switched over from Chevrolet to Ford. Kevin did set a bar for Keelan, though. 2014 Cup Series title, along with 63 wins, 31 poles, 444 top 10 results, and 826 races. That's not bad.
No.
You're running a 50+% top 10 finish over a 800 and plus race career.
I think it's neat how Mobile One's tying back into him, where Mobile One was a sponsor of Harvick for so long.
Yeah, I think it's great. Kevin's also one of about 40 drivers to claim wins in all three of NASCAR's top three series, 47 wins in what is now the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series, 14 wins in the Craftsman Truck Series. Again, Keelan 13, but if he continues his trajectory, could be running ARCA within the next year or two. And if he continues down the path, could debut in the Daytona 500 as soon as 2031. We've seen 18-year-olds do it before. Why not again? Speaking of Kevin Harvick, they're bringing back something with his tie-ins with Fox. Talk about that here in a moment. And what the heck is Joey Chestnut going to be doing at Phoenix Raceway? Details coming up here as we wrap up Hour 1. Hour 2 on deck. Still got Formula One, Indycar, and some other stuff to get to. Stay close.
Don't touch that dial. The Championship Racing Network will be right back. 4 tires and 2 cans of fuel, and we're back to more racing action on the Championship Racing Network.
Into hour 2 here of this Saturday, early Saturday morning edition of CRN. Speaking to Kevin Harvick, as we were before we went to break, he and Fox IndyCar lead announcer Will Buxton are relaunching Speed. Oh, if only it were the actual network. You might remember the old Speed channel, which turned into Speed before Fox Sports changed it to Fox Sports 1. Well, Speed with Harvick and Buxton is now going to be available via streaming services through services like Tubi, the NASCAR channel, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can either see and or listen to and then talk about all forms of motorsports. Later replays might show up on Fox Sports 1 or Fox 1, their cable and streaming option. I'm just happy it's back in some way, shape, or form. Again, I wish they'd never killed it in the first place.
True. Very true.
Also coming out on streaming, the latest season, I use that term very carefully, of NASCAR Full Speed. It debuted on Netflix 2 years there, but now it's moving over to NASCAR's partner for 5 races later this year in the Cup Series, Amazon Prime. The third season, consisting all of 1 episode, will drop late this week, March 5th to be exact. It is an episode that concentrates on the Daytona 500 instead of looking back on any part of the 2025 season. Okay. I mean, if it's done well, it could still be good. But, you know, I think it misses something in the grand scheme of things. Mm-hmm. And then Joey Chestnut is going to be at Phoenix Raceway. Huh? Seems that competitive eating champion Joey Chestnut is planning on doing a 50-state experience this year. He's going to be taking part in competitions or challenges in each of the states of the country's 250th birthday. Okay. At least one of those appearances is going to take place at a track. It's going to be at Phoenix, to be specific. He's going to be there for something called the Wiener Take-All event. It's a hot dog eating contest. It's going to take place at 9 a.m. the same day as the Cup Series race. 17-time Nathan's hot dog eating champ is actually going to be the master of ceremonies instead of taking part in it. He is going to narrate it in the 7-minute-long hot dog eating contest sponsored by GovX. That means that the competition itself will feature either current or former military, law enforcement, and firefighters, or people with those backgrounds. This is going to take place in Victory Lane. Again, 9 a.m. on the date of the Phoenix Cup Series race, which means they get it done early enough to the point where they can hose down the mess that will be left after it's done before they get to the race. Mm-hmm. Thank God.
Excuse me.
I don't know about you. I can't watch an eating competition like that.
Nope, especially with one that's a competition called Wiener Take All.
Yeah. We found out earlier this week his stop here in Alabama is going to happen early in the baseball season. He's going to be at Regions Field during a Barons home game, and either, I can't remember if it was before or after, on the field, he is going to attempt something called the Birmingham Challenge, and we looked into it, and it's this multiple layered burger sandwich, whatever you want to call it. I can't find out that much more about it, truth be told. But apparently you have to eat this thing within a short period of time. I don't know.
Are they going to have either Dixon or Andrew MC it?
Maybe.
I could see Dixon MC it.
I could see Dixon doing it and not looking.
Having his back turned.
Yeah.
Watching the big screen.
Oof.
And what's
again, eating competitions are... A challenge is one thing. You know, to say, okay, you need to eat 6 hot wings in 10 minutes, and they're some of the most ridiculously hot wings you've ever had in your life. I guess that's one thing. But to have to do it within a short period of time means you're going to make just a flat-out mess, and it's just not fun to look at. Not to me, anyway. O'Reilly Auto Parts Series News. Joe Gibbs Racing has announced that Toyota Racing development driver Brent Cruz, he of all of 17 years old, is set to get a dozen races this year in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series with sponsorship from a group called Young Life while he's in the number 19 Toyota. You see the car right now if you're on CRN Live on YouTube. Young Life is a discipleship program. It has ties with the organization dating back to when J.D. Gibbs was still alive in the organization on an active basis. Cruz not only will represent the organization at the racetrack, he's an active participant in it in his life. Cruz will race this weekend at COTA, the first of his 12 races. He comes out of the ARCA Menard Series ranks, claimed 5 wins and 6 poles just last year across both ARCA Menard's East and ARCA Menard's West Series competition. He also has some Craftsman Truck Series experience. He claimed 2 top 5 and 3 top 10 finishes, has led over 100 laps in his very short time in the series. Pretty good young kid.
Very, very, very good road racer.
Okay.
He's been in a Toyota Sim he's been working in the Toyota Sim a lot, and they said this yesterday afternoon on the qualifying broadcast. With his work in the Toyota Sim and everybody's been doing work for getting ready for COTA, he was 1 second faster than all the other drivers that ran. And he's somebody
to watch out for.
He starts 7th today.
Okay, somebody to watch out for. Craftsman Truck Series news, Dario Franchitti returning to NASCAR later today. We talked about it in the first hour during the race recap and told you about the qualifying and how everything basically got set up because it got rained out last night in St. Petersburg. Steps into the number 1 Toyota Tundra for Tricon Garage. He's going to have a fairly notable name as his crew chief. 7-time Cup Series champion Jimmy Johnson, the owner of Legacy Motor Club.
There's an amendment. There's an amendment they made to that.
I'm sure there is.
Jeremy Donnelly's going to call the race, but Jimmy Johnson's going to be on top of the box with Jeremy Donnelly going through the race and helping too. Okay. As an influence.
Considering the fact that he, I think, is being named crew chief, this is a first for him. He's never been a crew chief in NASCAR. Told media, quote, never done anything like this before, so I'm checking off new opportunities. So it's going to be fun. For Franchitti, yes, he has run in NASCAR before, but it's been a while. Almost 20 years, actually, since he competed in NASCAR. He ran 1 Truck Series race back in 2007. In 2008, he ran 28 races between the Cup and what's now the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. He did claim 2 top 10s. Both of those were in O'Reilly Auto Parts competition. Again, he's in a good truck. He knows St. Petersburg.
He's in a solid truck for sure.
But he's in a truck.
Well, yeah.
I don't know what to expect, I guess, is where I'm going with that.
Well, yesterday in the very, very short practice that they had, he was only 19th. He was 1.9 seconds off of Caden Honeycutt's pace. But he didn't run the amount of laps that Caden Honeycutt ran.
Okay. So he didn't have time to really get settled in, get used to the truck.
But James Hinchcliffe picked right up on it because James Hinchcliffe was 4th quick, 9/10 of a second off the pace.
Shall see.
Ben Mayer, 2nd quick. And this tells you how quick Caden Honeycutt was. 2nd P2 in practice was 8/10 off the lead time.
Okay, then.
Jack Hawksworth's been helping Caden Honeycutt, and Caden Honeycutt has picked up in a hurry.
Yep, that he has. All right. I'm getting tired of talking about this because we've made our feelings clear about Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. We're supporters of the track, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And that track was there long before those houses were there. You moved into the neighborhood knowing it had a racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
The battle continues about Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, however. Latest salvo being from supporters, specifically former racer Neil Chaffin, who is challenging the anti-Speedway group's effort to put an initiative on the November 3rd ballot that would effectively ban any racing at Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. The group's efforts seek to replace the Speedway with affordable and workforce housing. Whatever. The suit by Chaffin also specifically names 2 people in the anti-racing group who both have worked for the city of Nashville. Think about that for a second. Former city metro legal director Saul Solomon and a political strategist by the name of Mike Kopp. Coffin also wants to question Nashville FC soccer team owner John Ingram, who Chaffin feels is also silently supporting the motorsports ban in favor of the housing. That's a bad thing if that's true.
That's actually not true because hadn't John Ingram publicly made a statement that he supports it in conjunction together?
Well, let me take you to the state of Virginia, which just elected a governor who said so many great things during her campaign and then got elected and immediately said, yeah, whatever I said during the campaign, I'm elected now. I'll do whatever the heck I want. I don't know. Again, we'll see. What you say publicly and what you mean privately, I don't know. It will be interesting to see how the questioning goes if it actually happens. Chafin's arguing that the group's proposed amendment is not a neutral update to the 2011 law that protects racing at the historic track, but in its wording is purely designed to eliminate motorsports there under the guise of protecting the Tennessee State Fair, which used to be held at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. However, it was noted in Chafin's suit moving, quote, following the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the Tennessee State Fair relocated from the fairgrounds in Davidson County to a new site in Lebanon, Tennessee, in Wilson County. He argues that it makes the proposed amendment null and void, quote, by embedding the Tennessee State Fair within a mandatory continuation clause as a local charter duty. The proposed amendment commands an outcome that the state law does not permit. Currently, the Tennessee State Fairgrounds Charter, Chafin notes that expo charter events, flea markets, and auto racing shall continue at the Nashville Fairgrounds, but that the proposed amendment does two notable things. Continue activities other than auto racing on the premises of Tennessee State Fairgrounds or the premises of the Tennessee State Fairgrounds, including but not limited to the Tennessee State Fair, quote unquote. Chafin's countersuit concludes, quote, the Nashville Fair Board, the Davidson County body, has no authority to ban activity in Wilson on the premises of the Tennessee State Fairgrounds located in Wilson County, Tennessee. Because of these deficiencies, the petition in its current form is impermissibly confusing, unquote. He wants the amendment removed from the ballot in November. I wish you the best. I hope it works wholeheartedly. I mean, you and I have been there, and you and I have seen, and we have detailed on this show the plans that SMI has for that facility if it does continue and they can come to the proper agreement with the Nashville Metro Authority. What SMI has planned for it is fantastic. And when you consider the history that's at that track, if they kill it, you guys are morons. Kind of like the city of Birmingham.
Yep.
Turning our attention to Formula One here, Pirelli, which is the official tire provider for Formula One for many, many years now, is in need of a new head of motorsports. Longtime head Mario Isola set to retire, leaving the company officially in July. He's going to stick around to help the man who's taking his place, already named Dario Marafushi. I think I got that right. If I didn't, I apologize. He will take the title tomorrow as we air live. The company said Isola is seeking other professional challenges. Isola's been the overseer of Pirelli's motorsports actions for the past decade. He has long been a spokesperson and the company representative at all Formula One functions, since it is Pirelli's most visible motorsport series, but not their only one. Marafushi is a long-term Pirelli employee who was not only most recently the head of product, but he's been there a long time, so hopefully he will basically take it over and it be seamless. Pirelli's deal with Formula One runs through the 2027 season. F1 does have an option to keep Pirelli as the official tire provider through 2028 if they don't come to a longer-term agreement otherwise. I'd be shocked if they didn't. I'll be real honest with you. Pirelli has been a good partner for them. Yeah, you can always make complaints about this, that, or the other thing. Goodyear can say that about NASCAR, and NASCAR about Goodyear, Firestone, and IndyCar could say the same thing, just to borrow a couple of the others. But overall, the partnership has been good between all three series and their tire providers. I don't see why this would be a problem at all.
No. Nope.
When we come back, we'll give you an update on what's going on in Madrid as they get prepared for the first street course race there. And we'll talk a little bit about F1 Drive to Survive. That debuted yesterday.
Stay right here for more on the Championship Racing Network. 2 tires only. And back out to the track for more action on the Championship Racing Network.
We are back indeed and continuing to talk a little bit about Formula One here. Going to show you a couple of pictures. First, reports out of Spain state construction on the roads that are going to make up the Madring street course. Yes, they're calling it Madring, M-A-D-R-I-N-G. Street course or a circuit downtown Madrid is on schedule for the race on September the 13th. We're going to give you a look at what that track's going to look like here. Again, it's using kind of street courses here. It's a pretty interesting course there. Kind of a high speed. If you're looking at the top there, if you're up on CRN Live on YouTube, at the top you got a nice sweeping curve there. That should be some pretty good speed. I wouldn't say that front stretch, though, as a whole is very long. Doesn't seem like it would be.
Yeah, it's not when you got basically a 90-degree left-hander in turn 1, but from 2 down to 5 should be decent speed.
Could be an interesting track. CRN Live viewers, you can see that right now. Louis Garcia Abad, the GM of the course, said, quote, work is still scheduled to be completed in the next few months as planned, at which point we'll be ready to stage a test event and go through all the final checks with Formula One and the FIA ahead of the race in September. Again, you got to get a grade 1 designation on this, which means you got to make sure that that course is in really, really good shape. Plus, you got to have all the facilities ready to go, too.
I'm sure it will be.
Probably. We also got to look at the trophy that's going to be handed out to the podium finishers. The thing about this trophy is I'm not going to sit here and call it the most beautiful trophy in Formula One. I'll leave that up to you, our viewers on CRN Live on YouTube, to decide. Take a look at it right now. It's, in some ways, kind of simplistic, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It doesn't have to be complicated.
No.
The thing that I found interesting about it is who actually designed that trophy. Noted Italian car design company Pininfarina did the design. It's easy for me to say. Did the designing of this particular trophy. And they're no stranger to designing F1 trophies. In addition to Madrid, they designed the trophies that are handed out in Qatar, Azerbaijan, China, and Brazil. I don't hate it. But when I first saw it, I saw it in kind of probably an AI thing, but it looked like it was backed up against a sunset. Mm-hmm. And I thought it might have had something to do with kind of looking like horns of a bullfighting.
I could see that. Yeah. Looks to me just like a cut off fish hook.
I'll go with that.
That's what it looks like to me.
There you go. We'll go with that. You decide. It's up to you. Hey, let's face it. If you can win an F1 trophy, who cares what it looks like? You get to claim the trophy. You got to win. The debut of the latest season of F1 Drive to Survive dropped just yesterday. If you want to know some of the details about it, here we go. This one, not 10 episodes like in the previous 7 years. This season, 8 episodes. You've got a rundown of it right now on CRN Live on YouTube. Former Red Bull team boss Christian Horner is in the series, but misses some of his edge from previous seasons. Kind of interesting to note how the two McLaren drivers were battling not only Max Verstappen, but each other. Critics are claiming that the inside battle was largely washed over and or cleaned up. I guess we'll see. All 8 episodes right now. We might talk about it on an upcoming episode of Crossed Flags, or maybe next week on the show, depending on how soon you and I can both get them all in.
True.
Welcome to life.
Yep.
Especially this weekend when we just found out this morning that our forces and Israeli forces have gone into Iran. That's going to change things up. By the way, if you know anything about streaming services, you likely know that the most popular one is one of the first, which is Netflix. As noted, just dropped the 8th season just yesterday. Apple TV does have the right starting this season to show Formula One races here in the United States of America. How's this going to work? Well, it appears the two sides have cut a deal. Apple TV viewers can also watch F1 Drive to Survive alongside those who have Netflix. And in return, Netflix gets at least one F1 race this coming season, specified right now as the Canadian Grand Prix. Apple's Eddie Kerr, Senior VP of Services, said it's a partnership that makes sense because of Netflix's role in the growing popularity of F1 in the United States. We know people who have been chatting with us on CRN Live on YouTube have said they're not going to be going to Apple Plus. I get it. I understand it. You may have reached your limit on streaming services, or whether it's the number of them or monetarily. Mm-hmm. I get it. What I'm hoping is that they understand that this might be a mutually beneficial thing to both Netflix and Apple Plus, and maybe it'll become a little bit more available.
Should be, yeah.
One would hope. Will Buxton got to talking about the upcoming F1 season this week. He began to focus in on the Cadillac F1 team. Said that before the team has even gotten into competition, that second American-owned team will have spent $1 billion with a B dollars before ever getting into a competitive race. Ow. On the Up to Speed podcast, he said this, quote, let's put a baseline on this right from the outset. They have already spent, and they haven't even turned a wheel in anger yet, $1 billion. That's what they are believed to have spent up to this point. That's just to make it to the grid, and they don't have a title sponsor. That's a huge undertaking, not just for Cadillac and General Motors, but for TWG, Dan Towers, that whole group behind the scenes, and launching this team. It's a massive financial undertaking. He has concerns, adding, quote, I wonder how many of them will stay the course. Having 3 bases is potentially not an optimized strategy for any team, let alone a brand new team, and you have 2 distinct issues. I think with the way in which Cadillac as an American team will fare, one is the American work culture, which is that there is no time off. You work, you keep working, you grind yourself into the ground. Family? What family? You work. But you also get the F1 mentality, which is don't like it, go do something else. Because we'll find somebody younger and cheaper who will do it. Do the job that you don't want to do or want to do and aren't willing to do. If you're based in the UK, you're working all the way through the day. Then you've got to work through most of the night because America's still awake up to that point. So you're getting 3 hours sleep and the season hasn't started. I think Will Buxton might be overdoing this a little bit. I mean, I get it. Yes, they have 3 locations. 3 locations, one in Michigan, the Charlotte, North Carolina location, which is the GM Center, which you and I have seen. It's behind Hendrick Chevrolet up there. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the one that they've got in Silverstone, England. Mm-hmm. But you can't sit there and tell me that they're going to be working 24 hours a day just because you have a, 6-hour, 7-hour difference between England and either the Eastern or Central time zone. Well, no. Michigan's in the Eastern time zone. So between Britain and the Eastern time zone? I'm sorry, you can't tell me that.
Yeah, that's overstretching it.
I mean, this isn't a situation that we heard about when it came to Haas F1. Why is this suddenly a situation when it came to Cadillac? It's not.
Everything's become a situation with Cadillac.
Settle down, Will. Settle down. Okay? Simmer down now. Simmer down. To the IndyCar series. We talked about this board not that long ago, the effort that Penske Entertainment is doing to kind of separate themselves and at least try and alleviate the idea that maybe there's a conflict of interest between having a team that runs in the IndyCar series but also being over the officiating crew. Mm-hmm. So they created this independent officiating board, named those who are going to be at the track. Now, the IOB is a 3-person panel consisting of former NASCAR crew chief and IROC series owner Ray Evernham, along with 2 guys by the name of Ronan Morgan and Raj Nair. The trio have named the at-track race stewards. They are led by race director Kyle Novak. Novak was actually in that role with Penske Entertainment. He was retained by this independent board to continue in that role. Is that a problem, or did he just do a good enough job and seems to be having been able to separate himself from the Penske Entertainment / Team Penske thing?
I think it's a separation.
Okay. So you don't really have a problem with them keeping him?
No.
Because he's done a good enough job, in other words. Okay. Yeah. The race stewards that'll be on hand are veteran racers themselves. These guys date back to having been stewards with IndyCar back to 2016, Max Pappas and Ari Luyendyk. So I asked the same question. These guys do a good enough job over the course of that time to warrant being kept? In other words, they haven't really seemed to have been bothered by the fact that Team Penske owns not only the series, but a team in the series?
If it hadn't bothered them before, why would it bother them now?
Okay. But that's why I ask. I mean, it is interesting that there's carryover here.
Yeah.
But yet we wanted this independent officiating board to kind of make sure that we knew that there was a wall of separation between Team Penske and Penske Entertainment.
Right. Right.
So it's kind of funny how many of them kind of get rolled over into this. Mm-hmm. The final edition is a guy by the name of Kevin Rocket Blanche. He's a former Andretti Global Chief Mechanic for Colton Herta. Of course, he's now over in Formula 2. Blanche has been with IndyCar since 2003, is now the IOB's technical director and head of technical inspection. He will oversee the on-site IndyCar officials that, for example, oversee pit stops and what goes on in the garage areas. shortly after the announcement that IndyCar will mandate that all street courses this season must use the alternative green sidewall tire. Remember, we talked about this, what was it, last week, I think?
Yeah, I think so.
This green sidewall tire is meant as an even softer alternative to the red sidewall tires, and then you got your black primary, the hardest compound that they tend to use. The main difference was that in the green sidewall tire, they used what they called a more renewable source, the guayali shrub, to build it. Well, Firestone's dropped all that. After announcing that last week that you're going to have to, at street courses this year, use that softest compound tire for at least 2 stints, we're going to kill the green sidewall. As it turns out, there's another way to construct the tire that the company now calls Enlighten, spelled Enliten. And if you're looking at CRN Live on YouTube, you will see this is the black sidewall tire that we're showing. It also has that. So all tires are going to be made this way. The green sidewall tire goes away. The alternate tires, all alternate tires now, will just have a red sidewall. The new primary, still the black, with the Enlighten edition, noted by the white label on the stripe of the brand name. How does Enlighten work? Well, I don't want to get too deep off into the weeds, but instead of using petroleum-based oils, this new system will use soybean oil and recycled steel in the steel belts, along with recycled carbon black. Bridgestone America, Firestone's parent company, said that they think that the new construction reinforces, quote, material recovered from end-of-life tires. In other words, they're still trying to be renewable. Lisa Boggs, Bridgestone America's director of motorsports, said Firestone Racing serves as a mobile lab to test and prove new technologies under the most extreme conditions. The integration of Enlighten technology is the next step in our commitment to no compromises and sustainably focused technology through the use of cutting-edge materials. I bring all this up because this goes back to the early days of this show, 2 homes ago and a name ago, when I had somebody question, why are we still going out and racing? Because racing is, just like they just said, a lab.
Yeah.
Firestone, Goodyear, Pirelli, Michelin, Continental, General Tire, whoever happens to be the tire provider for whatever series it is we're talking about, they all learn things that they can use to put on our road tires for our street cars by going racing.
They can, yeah.
Chevrolet, Ford, Toyota, Honda, Mercedes, BMW, Porsche, name all the car companies that are involved in any form of racing whatsoever. They learn things about how to make their cars, their engines, their transmissions better by going racing if they learn their processes. And I get it, all car companies have recalls. But still, there are things that you can learn by going racing that you can put into your road cars.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
That's why we still go racing, because there's still stuff to learn. And that mobile lab, to borrow Bridgestone and Firestone's way of looking at it, is by going racing.
Yep.
So there you have it.
That is true.
Let's turn our attention to the National Hot Rod Association, shall we? Got more of the NHRA's top 75 moments. We're still trying to slog through the top 5. They only released 5 and 4 this week. And then that little prize right there. We're going to get to that here in just a second. Leave that up, Producer John. In at number 5, the first win by a woman at the Nitro Funny Car National event, done somewhat appropriately by the daughter of John Force. Ashley Force Hood accomplished the feat at the NHRA Southern Nationals at Atlanta Dragway back in 2008. Congratulations to her. Then the 4th biggest moment in the 75 years of the NHRA, the first woman to claim a win in Nitro Top Fuel. That, of course, was Shirley Muldowney. After years of success in racing street cars at local tracks in New York, Muldowney got into gas dragsters, and then the early 1970s joined the Nitro ranks. 1976, she went to the NHRA's races in Columbus, Ohio. She bested Bob Edwards to claim that first event win. So we got 3 more to go before we get to Gainesville. Probably we'll have those next week. Now, for those of you that are on CRN Live on YouTube, you're noticing this big, well, for lack of a better term, diamond-looking thing. What is that? This is just the latest move to recognize their 75th anniversary. They plan to honor all the living members of the recently announced top 75 drivers in NHRA history by saluting them with this diamond-shaped commemorative award at the various Mission Foods drag racing events throughout the season. Fans at each and every facility, basically, and race can see some drivers being honored. Which ones? It'll vary by race. This award, shaped like a diamond, 3-inch by 2-inch glass or crystal piece, created by Crown Awards, will have the facets cut surrounding the raised top. You'll have the NHRA 75th anniversary logo appearing right there, laser etched into it, along with the name of the driver honored with that particular award. First up, Amelie Gator Nationals. The drivers that will be honored there are in alphabetical order: Joe Amato, Kenny Bernstein, Big Daddy Don Garlitz, Daryl Gwynn, Frank Hawley, and Shirley Muldowney.
Solid.
But yet the one that they're showing us here as the example is John Force's.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with this. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it does separate it out, for a guy who, like John Force, has, 156 national event win trophies on a mantle. I don't know where he's putting that, but I'm sure he'll find a spot.
Sure, it'd probably be right in the middle.
Probably.
I would.
I mean, that's very nice right there. Really cool stuff. Speaking of which, NHRA, we're just a couple of weeks away from kicking off the 2026 Mission Foods Drag Racing Series. Kind of seems about time that Maddie Gordon got her Top Fuel license, considering that's the series she's supposed to run in, isn't it? Timing's everything.
I thought she already had her license done when they announced her to drive the car.
Apparently not. She completed her licensing process just this past week, set her up for the season opener in the Ron Capps Motorsports team debut in the Carlisle Tools Top Fueler. She was asked about who signed off on her license, noted that not only her boss, Capps himself, was there, also signing off on her Top Fuel licensing runs, Brittany Force, Clay Milliken, and she sent a special thanks out to Sean Langdon, noted that he was at every single run that she made and was always quick to give her advice or tips. So Maddie Gordon, ready to go.
Well, considering that he was blowing speed records and time records out of the water in Gainesville, I think it's a pretty solid person to be there with her.
Yeah, that's the kind of person you want to get your advice from if you're going to get it from anybody. Then we turn our name to the IHRA, and the IHRA has pulled a name from NASCAR to run their newly acquired Virginia Motorsports Park. This is in the town of Pulaski, Virginia. The guy? Stacy Compton. Compton's a Hurt, Virginia native who grew up running short tracks all over the Commonwealth, including Virginia Motorsports Park, moved up into the ranks of NASCAR, got 2 wins in the Craftsman Truck Series. Now, done with driving for the most part, he turns his attention to being the GM of VMP. He will oversee the day-to-day operations, ensure the events roll without a problem, work out any issues with the drivers and the race teams, developing the facility, and a whole lot more. Compton, in a statement, said, quote, "To lead a track with this kind of history right here in Virginia, incredibly meaningful to me. Our focus is on building a racer-first environment, delivering a great experience for fans, and making Pulaski County Motorsports Park something that the entire community can be proud of." Stacy Compton going to that seems a very, very strong move. I mean, and it just kind of continues to blur the line here of what we have been seeing. I mean, the IHRA has been doing a great job of taking over a couple of places the NHRA was well known for. And then they get into Rockingham Dragway, Virginia Motorsports Park. You get another NASCAR guy there, or somebody with NASCAR history in Stacy Compton. They just continue to go and find who they feel are the best facilities and the best people to continue the future or build the future of this particular race series.
They got Dennis Adcock and Robert Presley running the stock car series.
Yeah.
Stacy Compton is, going to oversee Virginia Motorsports Park. Virginia Motorsports Park. You got Mike Phillips. We know who he is. Mike Phillips is going to oversee Rockingham.
Mm-hmm.
So with Memphis still being the question mark of who's going to oversee that facility, I'll be interested to see who Darrell Cuttle pulls to oversee and run Memphis.
Yeah. Or Atlanta for that.
Even Atlanta, too.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Darrell Cuttle also noticed something that this week marks a milestone for them. And it actually makes them, in one way, bigger than the NHRA. Stick around. We'll give you details on that. IROC was testing. What do we mean by testing? We'll fill you in. Plus, we got some news from Formula E here before we turn things over on our flagship radio station anyway to qualifying at COTA.
We will be right back with more on the Championship Racing Network. Fuel only. Go, go, go. We're back to the Championship Racing Network.
Yeah, we are. One more note here to talk about the IHRA, and then Matt came across something here kind of interesting out of the NHRA as they get prepared again for the Gator Nationals. IHRA owner Daryl Cuttle noted that the sanctioning body, the IHRA, now sanctions a record number of facilities, the most ever in NHRA history. They currently sanction 111 drag racing facilities around the world, besting their previous top number of 110, which they got back in 2012 before they kind of began a significant downturn almost into, well, nothingness. I mean, for a while there, we didn't even know whether the IHRA was still an active, viable sanctioning body. Now Daryl Cuttle's got it. He's back up to 111. These are in 6 different countries. It led Cuttle to say, quote, "This milestone is not just about numbers, it's about belief. The growth represents track owners around the world who believe in what we are building and what we are taking, or where we are taking the sport, I should say. The foundation of drag racing has always been the weekly racer in the independent facility. Their vote of confidence speaks volumes. Noted this also means that the IHRA now actually sanctions more tracks than any other drag racing sanctioning body on the planet, which includes the big daddy of them all, the NHRA. Series statement said that it, quote, reflects the confidence and commitment of track operators worldwide. I mean, I get it. He's trying to put the best picture on this, but, still, the NHRA is the better known. I'm not trying to belittle what Daryl Cuttle and the IHRA are doing by any stretch. Yep. But yes, the better known of the two sanctioning bodies is the NHRA. And it's going to be that way for a while.
But at the rate Cuddle's going and the way he's trying to expand, they're knocking on the door.
That they are. All right, so Gator Nationals coming up here very, very soon. You've noted a couple of things already about things like entry lists and such.
As of right now, there's 19 top fuels, 19 funny cars.
Okay, so that means that we will have eliminations when we get there.
21 pro stocks.
Same in that.
And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 currently on pro stock motorcycle.
No elimination yet. That would just be making up the ladder.
Yeah, not yet, but
still got time.
We knew it was announced that Toyota was pulling out of NHRA.
Yeah, we talked about that last year.
But apparently, it's only to a certain degree. Because with the NHRA entry list, they give, like with funny car.
Sure.
Well, I'll go back one step further. With Top Fuel, they just list their chassis make and engine make.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they do. Like with Maddie Gordon. Maddie Gordon's car on her entry list. 2026 Force. That's a Force chassis. Mm-hmm. Engine, Schumacher 500. This the Don Schumacher developed baseline engine, which is basically nothing but a Hemi. Mm-hmm. I learned that when I was in Indianapolis.
Sure.
But when you go to funny car, mm-hmm. the engine that they have, and I will go with Ron Capps for an example, he is still going to run a Toyota body. The engine, the Toyota 500. So apparently Toyota is not all the way completely out. Because Ron Capps, J.R. Todd, and Julie Natas are all running Toyota Supras.
Now, and I'm probably throwing out a question you may not know the answer to, and I asked it during the break. With Toyota basically saying, hey, we're out, does this mean that they're running Toyotas without necessarily factory support?
Very likely. Very likely, because when you're sitting here looking at 2026 bodied cars, mm-hmm. there's only Austin Prock, Jordan Vandergriff, J.R. Todd. One Chevy, one Ford, one Toyota. Matt Hagan is not even running a 2026 body Dodge. He's running a 2025.
They not got the new body approved, I guess?
I don't know. The only Dodge's body cars that are running in funny car is Matt Hagan, Cruz Pedregon, and Hunter Green. But I mean, I don't know. It's questionable at best.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
But with Maddie Gordon recently getting licensed, and she picked her car number, it's a pretty neat story behind her car number. She picked the number 100, mm-hmm. which is an oddball number.
It is.
The reason she picked number 100 is because in the NHRA history book, she was the 100th female to win a national event.
I understand why she picked it.
So
Makes
that's
sense.
Very solid. Very solid.
Something I'm really kind of wanting to go see here, and this is just a little over a month away, early to mid-April, is what they're calling the 2026 Heritage Invitational. And if a lot of the activity didn't happen on Friday, I'd be more tempted to go. What is the Heritage Invitational? This is the event that's coming to the new 10 Tenths Motor Club, which is literally right next door to Charlotte Motor Speedway. Matt and I have been able to kind of place our eyes on it. This apparently going to be a little bit more than just an IROC exhibition, as it turns out. Several drivers Amongst them, Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, and Bobby Labonte got in some classic IROC rides and did a Goodyear tire test. You'll see one of the last bodies that IROC ran before they went away in 2006 here in just a moment on CRN Live on YouTube. It's one of the old Firebird Trans Ams, Jeff Gordon's name on it. Busch said that he and the other drivers knew that this was really meant to be a Goodyear test session, but admitted they got a little overly competitive in the afternoon session on Tuesday when he and Gordon got sent out about the same time for what he initially thought was a photo opportunity that became a bit more. These guys are racers. Of course, if they're going to anywhere near each other, they're going to be, I'm going to beat your butt.
When you put when the helmet goes on, that switch flips.
I got to admit, I would love to see these old IROCers on the track in person, not just on television, not just on YouTube. I think it'd be great to see it in person.
I would love to see Evernham get with a manufacturer of some kind.
Oh, believe me.
Some kind.
And that goes back to one of the predictions that I made, is that I think that Ray Evernham is honestly trying to do this because he now has the backing of Chevrolet. Chevrolet is a title presenting sponsor of the IROC series. You don't get Chevrolet to be a title presenting sponsor of your series without going, we've got plans other than just putting old IROC cars out on the track.
But here's the caveat to that. I wasn't going to say the kicker. I'll just call it the caveat to that. If Chevrolet hadn't have done away with the Camaro brand, they could have brought the Camaro back, and then boom, there you go.
Yeah.
But
instead, they're talking about remaking it as an SUV. Don't do that. Do not do that.
That would be something like the Mustang Mach-E hybrid
which I don't call a Mustang. I'm sorry.
I don't call a Mustang. But
for all of you who are Ford fans, I'm sorry, I just don't.
You got a prime opportunity to redevelop it into a car of yesteryear that they actually did run.
Yeah.
Redevelop the car, and redevelop the car, have the IROC series come back and make it, I'm going to make it like a hybrid SRX driver lineup.
See where you're going with that. Go back to the original Ray Evernham thought of what the SRX series should be.
Yes. But don't go primarily older generation retired drivers. Split it dead down the middle. Have somebody, let's throw it out there. Even though he's recently retired, I would still look at him as somebody as active. All right. You got people like Labonte, Busch, Gordon. Have like a 5-race mini-series. But don't do it in consecutive weeks. Space it out through the quarters of the year or something.
Sure. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. One super speedway, one intermediate, one road course, one short track, and then 5th race be a wild card. Call it a wild card.
Okay. I like where you're going so far.
Have the retired drivers out there, and you have 12 cars in the old 12-car format. 6 retired drivers, 6 active drivers. And I'm sure there would be 6 active drivers that jump all over this.
As long as you don't do what they were doing in the latter years of NASCAR or of IROC, which was basically, it was an entire NASCAR deal.
Yes.
You know, you got to go get drivers. You're not necessarily going to be able to get somebody from Formula One, but definitely go get somebody from IndyCar. Try and get somebody from the NHRA ranks. Let's go and let's make this an all-star thing and have at least one car set aside for somebody local. Like if you're going to put this thing at Talladega Super Speedway, find somebody from Talladega Short Track. The old resident driver over there.
Just saying.
Yeah, but yeah, wherever you're going for any of these races, find somebody on the local level. I don't care whether they're dirt or asphalt. It matters. I don't care whether they're straight line. Find somebody from the local area. Put them in the race too. Reserve a car for that.
Have that 13th car for that. But
yeah,
with active drivers, go 2 stock cars, 2 IndyCar, and have two. I'm gonna say like the old days. One from maybe like the dirt genre, but have it from dirt late models, and have one from sprint cars.
Sprint cars could work. And drag racers, I think you could probably do it.
Or even a drag racer.
Yeah. And I don't care whether it's NHRA or IHRA. It matters not to me.
Ron Capps or Cruz Pedregon would be a perfect because they ran
SRX.
They ran SRX, and they used to run the Prelude to the Dream all the time when they ran at Eldora.
Gosh, that's true too. I forgot about that.
Two, and two. But from a retired standpoint, from a retired classified driver standpoint, somebody that I think would be a good candidate to be able to do that and would promote the heck out of the series would be Brad Sweet.
Yeah.
Brad Sweet.
You're absolutely right. Agreed wholeheartedly. Hey, we're available. Ray, just letting you know. We're here for advice. A couple of notes here. Last week we mentioned the added power of the Gen 4 racer in Formula E. They may need to be looking at longer courses to race on. Led series officials to look around London for a more appropriate course. Now they're talking to Saudi officials about a longer version of the Jeddah course. In addition to expanding out some courses, there could be an expansion of the schedule length as well. Formula E officials are saying they're looking at the possibility of 19 races for the 2026-27 season. The plan is to submit a preliminary list to the World Motorsport Council sometime in the month of March, then unveil it before showcasing the new Gen 4 racer at a big launch event here in the next couple of months. How could 18 to 19 races break down? Alberto Long of Formula E told motorsport.com that it would likely see several doubleheaders take place in up to 13 different cities, with hopes of not just having one, but 2 U.S.-based races in addition. Talks are ongoing with about 6 cities to host a second race in addition to Miami. The aim, Longo said, is to have as many as 22 races on the schedule by the year 2030. Okay. See where they go with that. As mentioned, we have to be out of here on time because our flagship radio station is joining the Performance Racing Network for qualifying at Circuit of the Americas. Thank you very much for joining us. We appreciate it. Cross Flags coming up this week. Don't forget, we'll record it on Tuesday. Home game again? Yeah, okay. And that'll be posted up by Wednesday morning on all the old familiar places at the very latest. My thanks to producer John. My thanks to Matt. My thanks to you, our listeners and viewers. We'll, of course, have another big show for you next week right here, I think back at our regular time. We hope anyway. Have a great week.
This has been a presentation of the Championship Racing Network.